Donald Trump dismissed the indictment against the mayor of New York, Eric Adams. Did he? Why was it done without prejudice? Why did they leave open the door to indict Adams again? Do they want Adams to play ball? Was it a quid pro quo to force him to continue to play ball on the migrant issue and stop having New York being a sanctuary city? We cover it all on the midweek edition of Legal AF. Take a listen.
Let's talk about Mayor Adams. And this came as a big shock to New Yorkers, frankly, who are, and, obviously I'm in New York, and this is our mayor. And it was really surprising when in the middle of the United Nations General Assembly, which happens here on the island of Manhattan every year in the month of September, where prime ministers, heads of state, and other dignitaries come from all over the world, frankly, including royalty. I mean, they come from all over the world and they go to the General Assembly, and it's a very big deal. Almost the entire New York City Police Department needs to protect people, and there's because they when you come to New York, you have to protect the dignitaries, and so they call it UNGA, UN General Assembly. So the cops will say, "Oh, I can't come to court. I have UNGA duty." When I was a prosecutor, that's what they'd say. And it's a big deal because, and knock on wood, nothing's ever happened. That we could host all of these heads of state from all over the world, and it goes off without a hitch. Nothing bad's ever happened. And it's a very, very big deal. And that they decided, and the mayor, right, New York City mayor, is in charge of the entire police department. They appoint the police commissioner, et cetera. So when the Department of Justice and the U.S. Attorney's Office here in the Southern District of New York decided to arrest Mayor Adams in the middle of that week of the General Assembly, when everyone was here and the world was watching, to me was sending a big message to the world and to Mayor Adams. And frankly, you wouldn't do something like that, especially as loudly as you did, if you didn't have a very strong case against him. The allegations are corruption. It's bribery. It's soliciting illegal donations that then get you millions of dollars in public matching funds for your campaign. It's taking money from the Turkish government and then fast tracking getting the fire department to speed up approval of their consulate, the buildings department and all that, the permits that you have to do, just garden variety corruption allegations. There's multiple investigations going in different offices, and there was this indictment and a superseding indictment, and it was pretty shocking. But a couple of things happened after he was indicted, and of course, these are allegations. You're innocent until proven guilty, and he is afforded that presumption of innocence. But the trial is, you have a trial if you're innocent, right? And you prove your innocence. But multiple things started happening that gave us a little bit of a hint as to what's going to happen. First of all, he started using language. He started parroting Trump's language, right? He started saying things like, "Oh, they're prosecuting you, right? Not me. This is a persecution of you," and turning it on. This is a persecution of democracy, and just using the kind of language that Trump does. He went down to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Trump and essentially kiss the ring, and that was another. Another kind of signal. He started appearing on the right-wing TV shows and like Tucker Carlson, right? He's a Democrat. That we're a Democratic city. We always elect Democrats. He won the Democratic primary, and he's an ex-cop and an ex-borough president, but he started sounding MAGA and acting MAGA and doing all the things that you got to do to get MAGA. To get the MAGA approval. And, look, we're a sanctuary city in New York, and we welcome immigrants. We have the Statue of Liberty here, and that's just who we are. But he is clearly, whatever he says, he's clearly made a deal with the devil here because, and then the other thing that happened, which again could be a coincidence, and so I'm not making any accusation at all, because anything's possible, but the lawyer he hired was very interesting to me. He hired Alex Spiro, who's somebody that I used to work with and know, to be his lawyer. And Spiro, great lawyer, he's Elon Musk's personal attorney. And again, is that a coincidence, or is there, a through line to Musk's, the decision maker / Trump? I don't know, but I thought that was an interesting observation when I saw that. And so it was not shocking or surprising when all of a sudden there is a letter from Emile Beauvais, who represented Trump in the Manhattan DA case and 2 other criminal cases, along with Todd Blanche, both of which are waiting to be officially. Actually, Beauvais doesn't need to be confirmed, and so he's officially at the Attorney General's office now, working with Pam Bondi, and Todd Blanche is waiting. Is waiting for confirmation. Emile Beauvais, his personal lawyer in his criminal case, who now works for the Attorney General's office, wrote a letter that basically said, essentially saying, there must be no further that must be no further targeting of Mayor Adams or additional investigative steps, and it's interfering with his it's interfering with his ability to cooperate with President Trump's immigration crackdown, and it interferes with the June 2025 mayoral primary. But meanwhile, all I can say is when Adams was first arrested, he issued a statement saying, people said this was going to be a distraction, but I can do my job. I'm moving forward. I continue to deliver for the people of the city of New York. But Beauvais' letter argued the opposite. It said that the case had unduly restricted Mayor Adams' ability to devote full attention and resources to the illegal immigration and violent crime that escalated under the policies of the prior administration. Now, I think what Beauvais is referring to is automatically the security clearance his security clearance got removed, and so he can't have access to classified information. I'm not really sure why you need that to enforce sanctuary city laws, but or whatever they're going to try to do here with immigration. But what I thought was really interesting was that Beauvais said you have to ask for permission to, file a motion with the court to dismiss the case, because only a judge can dismiss the case, right? He said dismiss it without prejudice. Okay, that was what I thought was fascinating, because if it's dismissed with prejudice, okay, it means the case can never be brought again. Jeopardy will have attached both federally and in the state. To dismiss without prejudice means we can bring it back if we want. Mm-hmm. And that is a way of Trump owning and controlling Adams, because he has that hanging over his head. Essentially, do what I want, or all I have to do is make a quick phone call and have them reinstate the indictment, have them go back into the grand jury. I cannot imagine how the AUSAs at Southern feel about this. I have no idea how they feel. I don't talk to anyone there about it. But if I was a prosecutor, and I was for 30 years, I would be batshit over this. And, the Southern District jokingly, tongue-in-cheek, always I don't know if they referred to themselves, but we all referred to them as the sovereign district of New York, not the Southern District of New York, because the rest of the country has to really kind of fall in line with the DOJ. Southern has always kind of done their own thing. And frankly, they've done it because they're at the leading cutting edge of many cases and crimes, and they have a history of bringing some pretty big, important, consequential matters, and they're excellent. It's I think one of the premier, if not the premier, U.S. Attorney's office in the country, and so they have excellent lawyers, and it's. I think they've always basically been left alone because they're that excellent, and they're career prosecutors who some of them, and they're there, and they know what they're doing, and they follow the law without fear or favor, all that kind of stuff. So to be told that they to not do this, not because he's innocent, not because he didn't do it, right? They didn't say that this is
no, they didn't.
Right.
They actually said the opposite. They said we're not commenting on the strength of the evidence or the legal. And I thought for once their transactional nature, like you said, I think you're absolutely right. He kind of owns him now. The transactional nature of this is right there in the letter. He says that we are dismissing these charges because it is preventing you from basically fulfilling the immigration help that Trump needs. And there's reporting that shows that the mayor sent a memo soon before this memo from Emile Bove telling staff to not criticize Trump and to not interfere with Trump implementing his deportation plan. So you have the letter saying, we're dismissing this without prejudice because we need you to help with our immigration plan. And then he turns around and he does exactly that, which is a huge problem. Obviously, New York is one of the biggest cities in the country and a sanctuary city, so they could really get in their way of this mass deportation plan that's still getting unveiled. We have Guantanamo Bay, we have Lincoln Riley trying to take away due process rights for undocumented immigrants. And then you have here kind of like the last little nail, which is Trump owning the mayor of the largest sanctuary city, right? And it's, I think, really not a coincidence that he just pardoned the Illinois governor, because that's, like you said, it's almost like a wink and a nod. He had commuted his sentence. He has not been in the news, right? There's no reason to bring that up, but it's kind of his way of saying, well, I am dismissing this without prejudice now, but I can pardon you, and I will if you continue to do what I want to do. So I think that is, nothing Trump does is by mistake. I think you're right on. The without prejudice is, and it's ironic because his whole charges are corruption. And then you have this really corrupt deal where you have the president stepping in, into this independent process, right? That the Justice Department is supposed to be independent in deciding who to indict. So corrupt. Ultimately, there's a primary in June. Ultimately, the New York voters are going to have to decide at this point forward, is Mayor Eric Adams doing something because he wants to do it for the voters or because Trump asks him to? That's the question from here out, or should be the question from here out, because I don't see how you can trust that he's not now influenced by Trump.
Right. He's also basically dropped the case against Vince McMahon, the CEO of WWE. I mean, the wrestling entity. And, it's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. There's an investigation trying to cover up multiple allegations of sexual misconduct. He paid 2 former female employees. We paid $10 million to keep quiet, kept fake books and records, hid the settlement from the company, made false and misleading statements to company auditors. What does that sound like? It sounds so much like the Stormy Daniels, the fake books and records, the cover up. I mean, It's like corruption, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't care. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's like if you're an FOT, if you're a friend of Trump, then you get away with anything and everything's pardoned and doesn't matter what you did. It's, look at January 6th. Look at who we pardoned there, Stuart Rhodes and Ricky Terrio and on down the line.
The interesting thing is his wife, the WWE's wife, is the one who's getting appointed to the Department of Education, which theoretically Trump wants her to be out of a job. So you kind of wonder if that's a little bit of a quid pro quo, scratch your back. I'm appointing you in order for you to basically dismantle the department and no longer have a job. But don't worry, I got you because I'm taking care of your husband.
Yeah. No, it's just unbelievable. It's like corruption out loud. And they don't even pretend to make it.
They're not pretending. They got rid of the anti-corruption unit, the Department of Justice, that went after all the Russian oligarchs. I mean, I felt like the president, well, I don't know, I don't even want to call him president, but when Trump was president the first time, the racism that he had, when he went down the escalator and he was so racist, kind of brought out the legitimacy of other racists. They felt like there was cover and there was so much more out loud, let's say, racism. And I feel like now he's doing the same thing with corruption. He's not hiding it. He's very willing to be corrupt, and it's going to embolden other corrupt people in a way that we'll have to see how it all unveils. But like you said, they're not hiding this stuff. They proudly are willing to dismantle our government and feed it to their friends. And, they're not hiding their corruption at all this time around.
That was Legal AF. We do it every Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time only here on this YouTube channel and at the intersection of law and politics. If you like that, join us Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm the regular co-anchor. I'm Michael Popok. Wednesdays, I do it with Karen Friedman, Agnifilo. Saturdays with Ben Mysalis. And then we got a brand new Legal AF YouTube channel, Legal AF MTN, to reflect our collaboration with the Midas Touch Network. So until my next reporting, this is Michael Popok. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.